And we're back. Ready? Number three. Number three is Maurice G's Plum, and a book about a vicar. May not sound interesting, but if you're an Anthony Trollope fan or Margaret Oliphant, of course you'll know that there's a lot of good writing to come from writing about the church. This was a really good book. I love this one. This is the story of a vicar, or an ex-vicar. He was Episcopalian, and I'm not too up on the denominational differences in the Protestant church, but yes, he's a very cantankerous fellow, and the book basically goes through his life, talks about his struggles, his issues, his flirtation with socialism, communism, and his relationship with his family. He's got a huge load of kids, and we gradually get to meet all of them and see what's become of them. And oh look, I just loved it. He's just such a great character, Plum. And just when you think, oh, are you getting to like him? Then he'll say something and you think, oh, I'm an idiot. But he's real. He's very, very real. It's great. Going back to what we were talking about in the last vlog about Maori culture. I think one of the things that was in the back of my mind when I was reading this was that while it sounded like some kind of Anthony Trollope book, the realization was that there was also this parallel Maori culture happening at the same time, probably in the same place in some places, which wasn't mentioned. I think that just gave things a little bit more interest in a way. You're kind of aware of something in the background. I'm not sure that the writer actually meant that, but having read those books, I certainly was aware of that. Really good book, and I'd like to read. There's a couple of sequels. It's a trilogy, I think. I think the next ones actually follow some of his children, but definitely I'd like to read some more by Maurice G. Moving on, number two. And number two is The Bone People by Kerry Hume, winner of the Booker Prize. Very long, very inventive, wonderfully written story about, again, Maori culture, but also how Maori culture and the Pākehā culture are entwined. It's the story of a young boy who's been washed ashore on the beach and has been adopted, or well, I'm not sure if he's formally adopted, but he's been taken in by a Maori man, Joseph. And one day, Simon, who's a bit disturbed because of all the things he's been through, encounters Kerwin. And Kerwin is this very unusual woman with a lot of qualities and also a lot of problems. And together they form a kind of dysfunctional family. And through 550 pages of very interesting developments, they grow apart, come back together again. And one thing which I didn't notice at the time was when I was reading all the reviews, it talked about how it was a kind of Christ story with Joseph in the Joseph role and Kerwin in the Mary role, which I thought afterwards, oh yeah, that makes sense. Didn't actually realise it at the time. Just like Janet Frame, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't read a lot of female writers, not as many as I should, but it seems to me that some of the more famous female writers that I've read, their work seems to be very inventive with language. There seems to be a very definite intention, an intent to manipulate the language, perhaps take the language away from what we would expect, perhaps what men would expect to be set norms. I may be completely wrong here, and I haven't studied literature myself, but I think it's very interesting. It's something I've noticed, that it just seems to me that women seem to have a different writing style. Yeah, comments on a postcard to usual address. Look, it's just a really, really good book, and I know I'm not actually saying anything else now apart from the fact that it's good, but definitely one to read. I would recommend that anyone have a look at this. It's disturbing at times. Some of it really makes you cringe, and I don't want to give too much away, but you know, a bit of violence in there, but still very well worth reading. And we come to number 1, the best, the top of the pile. Now, there's one name in New Zealand literature that just towers above everyone else. Now, I'm not talking about Catherine Mansfield. No, there's someone even higher than that. This person, this character, just is such a huge cultural phenomenon. It makes The Lord of the Rings look like some late night phone-in quiz show on Channel 10. I am talking, of course, about Harry McClary. Now, Harry McClary is just an icon. For those of you who have never heard of Harry McClary, shame on you. If you have children or young people that you look after, you must go to your library and find out about Harry McClary. Harry McClary is a dog, a very naughty dog. Harry McClary comes from Donaldson's Dairy, and my daughter loves these books. One that we were reading during the reading month was Harry McClary's Shoe. Brilliant. Just the rhyming, the language, it's excellent. Yes, forget the All Blacks. Harry McClary is the true New Zealand icon. I heard that they were planning to create, to build a statue to Harry McClary, which would have spanned the 2 islands. Unfortunately, the GFC put an end to that. There was no funding, but that's how important Harry McClary is, and that's why Harry McClary, created by Linley Dodd. Linley Dodd's the writer. I actually don't think Linley Dodd exists. I think that it's actually Harry McClary himself who writes the books, and Linley Dodd is just a pseudonym. But anyway, Harry McClary books, absolutely wonderful. They are my New Zealand Reading Month mini challenge number 1. Thank you very much.